Shalom, shalom, family, and welcome to the Wisdom Corner. My name is Uziah Lewi, Chief Uziah Lewi, one of the teachers at Congregation Beit Da'at Kakma Ubina, better known as Beit d.c.b. And we are here bringing you the third episode of the Wisdom Corner, which is interpreted or as we say it, explained by Crown Prince Zurishaddai ben Yehudah, a teacher from the original Ben Ezra King that was located in Brooklyn, New York, under the guiding watch of Nasik Yaakov ben Yehudah. So we got Crown Prince on the line. So Crown Prince, take it away.
All right, thanks very much. First of all, let's say Adonai Sabtai Titakupi Agiti Ateka, and also giving praise to the Supreme Intelligent Universe, God, my forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, or Yaakov, and due respects to all the people that's out there, and also the the congregation d.c.b, and shout out to them for this opportunity. And I greet you all and tell my forefathers, Shalom Aleichem. Now, last week we left off the Bishop. So I'd like to bring up some points, because I always like to go back a few episodes, a Sidra, before I move forward. So I like to say that we left off the Bishop, which one of the most dynamic parts that we remember, most people, is the entering the Yam Suf. And I like to bring out a point of thought. When we enter the Yam Suf, and never said we crossed the Yam Suf, we entered in and walked in the midst of the Yam Suf on dry ground. Then we came out and never said it crossed. And I bring that point out because a lot of times we tend to read a lot of things quickly, and we some of us take a triannual reading, which is 3 years to go through the first 5 books, and some of us do a yearly reading. And what I find strikingly, a thing of interest, super interest, is that since we didn't cross the Yam Suf, it's like we made a U-turn, and some commentaries also refer to it as a U-turn instead of crossing, because they never said we crossed the Yam Suf. They said we entered, walked on dry ground, and we came out. And point that I'm using to support it is when we get ready to finish the Bishop, to say we left, come out to Yam Suf, and then we was at Shur. Now, Shur itself, in most English books, spelled S-H-U-R. The 22nd verse of Exodus 15th chapter, and said Moses led Israel onward from the Yam Suf and went out into the wilderness of Shur. Now, the first time we could have a major point of that spot and location, and we find it in the book of Genesis. And in Genesis, when we and for those, I'm not going to go back and read everything, so I'm trying to be a little bit brief. Is around the 16th chapter, 8th verse, for those who might want to look at it later, when Hagar was harshly treated by Mother Sarah, and she fled before her. And and we know, everybody that knows some of the history of Genesis and Hagar, that she's an Egyptian, and where the angel encountered her at, where she fled from her, was at that same spot, Shur. So that lets you know that it's not going from one side of the Yam Suf to the other side of the Yam Suf, but some miraculous miracle. We went in, and we did not say a bow face. Now, it's the difference between a bow face and a U-turn. All right, so and we came out, still was on the Egyptian, part of the Egyptian frontier and territory. Another thing I'd like to bring out too, because the last week, Sidra Bishop, when we talk about whole food, that's because we encounter the food of mana, and we know that came strictly from the Creator. What makes this food super nutritional is, and it describes the color. It's appealing, it had fragrance, it had taste. But what makes the food so super, and if we could say a super food, and some people might say angel food because it came directly from the Creator, and and it came on during that particular time while we was in the wilderness, all the way till we crossed over the Jordan, is that a superfood is completely used and absorbed by the body. You have it's no waste. Most foods we eat, the body takes what it can use, and then we get rid of the waste. But with that food there, it was so nutritional, so healthy that it would be completely used and absorbed by the body. So that's a miracle in itself when we talk about healthy foods, whole foods. And I figure I like to bring those particular points out. And I'm always open for questions at the end. Now we go into this particular Sidra, Yethro, and what we find at the beginning that we already know from the history that he's a priest of Midian, and he also the father of Moshe. Now, in this particular chapter, done with the 18th verse, it says that now Yethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, how that the Lord had brought Moses, how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. All right, now, and then you notice this in Yethro, Moses' father-in-law took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her away. All right, now, the reason I find that verse, the opening, it's not even a separate story, but a continuation of a story. But one thing is that he had heard. So, and this is so important a point that if Yethro heard all that God did for Moses and the people of Israel, then surely we ended Bishlah with the fight of Amalek. So that implied that Amalek also heard all the things that the Creator did for Moses and Israel.
Right.
And neither one of them was at the location where all the stuff was going on, but they all heard and met Israel en route.
Right.
So I think that's a point that sometimes we don't think about, because we think about Yethro heard, but he wasn't there. That means the world heard. Amalek heard it. Yethro, who's not Israelite, but a descendant of Abraham,
Right.
he came, in gratitude of what God did for the children of Israel.
Right.
Whereas Amalek, who also is a descendant of Abraham, came to be an antagonistic and attack the nation of Israel. So that brings you two different dynamics. Both relatives. Sometimes people are glad for your success, and some people become envious of your success.
Right.
And then now, if anybody should have had a problem with, especially a leader, that said that he brought back his daughter and Moshe's sons after he had sent them back. And the root, the shorish is for sent, the shalah.
Okay.
And that's why I said it's a tie-on to Bishalai. When Pharaoh sent them out, Moshe had also sent his wife before he went into Egypt and his children out.
Okay.
And also it has the thing of like a divorce, because you read in the Deuteronomy 24th chapter that, they use the same similar phrase when they talk about, divorcing a woman and you send her out of your house. But Yethro was glad to return with his daughter and his grandchildren to Moshe's father-in-law. And after he heard all this, so we know we're in a close vicinity. Now, what is also that he said that what he was glad of was that when you go further in the ninth verse, and talking about that and he rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, and he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Right. Now the 10th verse, which is really striking, and Yethro said, "Blessed be the Lord." Now, a lot of people you will hear, if they don't really want to speak, you say the tetragrammaton, which is the Yod Hey Wah Hey, they say Baruch Hashem.
Right.
And I think that's an important point. A lot of other people would say Baruch Yehovah, but a lot of people, for the sanctity of the name, would say Baruch Hashem. And here's Yethro, the first one out of Midian, but not the first one in the Tanakh. The first one to say Baruch Hashem was the unnamed servant that Abraham sent to get a wife for Yitzchak. Some rabbinic literature just say it's Eleazar, but I always say the unnamed servant because it's not given his name's not given in Torah. It's only given in rabbinic literature.
Right.
All right, but he's the first one to say, Baruch Yehovah. Yethro is the second.
Right.
But we yet to hear an Israelite to say it yet at this particular point in time.
Right.
So now we know both of them were non-Israelites. Both of them were not chosen by the Creator to be his peculiar people. But both of them recognize it. And what's even more profound is that the servant referred to him as the God of his master, Abraham. When he said, blessed be, at Baruch Hashem. Whereas, Yethro had became acknowledged how great this Creator is.
Right.
So we find in the Sidros, you want to have a couple of Sidros that's dedicated to a name of a person. The first one you read about is Paye Sarah, a woman. And I brought this point out for a reason which I'll hopefully be able to tack on later. Connect later. And the second is Yethro. So it's very few Sidros that's named after individuals. And so
facts. That's right.
I like to move on from there and highlight some other points in this here. Now, Yethro had come around after he acknowledged what the Creator had done. He's the first one, as we noticed, to offer up a sacrifice to the Most High. All right, not Israelites, but he did himself. And when we go down and search down in the 20, for that, right? When we go down in Psalms 18th chapter, he brought the first burnt offering to the Creator, and it says all the elders, Aharon and all the elders went with Yethro to the sacrifice that Yethro had to the Creator, and they ate bread with him. Now, I didn't mention Moses being there, but we're sure he'd been there because he loved his father-in-law and he kissed his father-in-law and bowed to his father-in-law. But his father-in-law was so elated and reminding now, Israel just got saved from a battle.
Right.
Just became victorious in a battle with Amalek. If we accept any chronological order.
Right.
All right. And they just was complaining just a little before that. And Yethro just heard how good the Creator did for them to deliver them out the hands of the Egyptians and all the things that, and uncle, his son-in-law.
Right.
Because it said that for the people from the hands of the Egyptians and Moses from Pharaoh. So Yethro already knew that Moses was a marked man from the beginning.
Right. From
years back. And that's one of the things that Creator used later at the last thing before Moses when he got really got angry in his introduction to the Creator, was all the men that sought your life are dead.
Are dead. Right.
All right. So now, as we move on, you know, so the first sacrifice and burnt offering that we read about to the Creator collectively, in the midst of Israel, was done by an outsider, and the elders of Israel come to his sacrifice. And it was seen that Yethro being a guest and acknowledge the Creator, it seemed like the feast and the celebration, especially brought the man that helped spearhead the way out, wife and children, they would have a feast and banquet for him.
Mm.
But it was just the opposite. He had the banquet. He had the festival. And this festival was not for the people, necessarily the children of Israel, but for the Creator, for what he did for another people.
Right.
Right. So let's just give you a little bit of the character of Yethro, because we don't read much about him directly, other than you have a lot of rabbinic tradition,
Right.
and commentaries and speculations.
Right.
All right, so we move on to the next part when Yethro come back, and then read from I think the 10th. Oh, let's go down further. All right, 14th. All right, and 14th verse it says, and when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, "What is this that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand about thee from morning until evening?"
Mm-hmm.
And Moses said unto his father-in-law, "Because the people come unto me to inquire of God.
Mm.
When they have a matter, it comes unto me, and I judge between a man and his neighbor, and I make them know the statutes of God and his laws." Now, what I find important, because I know, is that Yethro was asking pretty much a rhetorical question, because if he stood there, he knew what he was doing.
Right.
But it's not so much what he was doing, but why is he doing it in that fashion?
Mm.
That's what he looked at in that area. Now, one of the areas that the answer was, what Moses' reply was, not so much that I'm giving them ruling of law, but I'm trying to educate them in the matter of the Creator's law
Right.
and his ways.
Right.
All right. Now, that doesn't exonerate him for not getting help. So we know from all of us that read about Moshe that he was the meekest man on all the earth.
Right.
All right. Why would so it was seen outwardly selfish for one man to say, "I'm going to be the only judge. I'm going to be the only guide." But we know from Moshe's character, he wasn't like that.
Right.
And Yethro, being easy enough, and wise enough, knew it wasn't about that. Now, I'm just going to go a little bit off track, just slightly, and say, and give some rabbinic insight, from traditional point of view.
Okay.
All right. When the people come before you and judge, normally you either deal with according to the letter of the law, or you wind up dealing a compromise. All right. Now, a compromise, when you get to settle a dispute between both parties, you don't need one individual. But when it comes to a letter of the law, you should have more than one individual, which is three. The smallest betin to deal with is a three in rabbinic literature. And according to traditional rabbinic teaching, is that if it's a compromise, the litigants don't have to stand up before the judge because you're compromising.
Mm.
But it's a letter of the law, then they must stand up before the judge.
It's
Now,
almost like when you get into a car accident and you don't call the police, you work it out on your own.
uh,
That sort
but
of stuff.
usually you have a third, but you have a third party. Not so much you work it out on your own. These people came before a third party,
Okay.
looking for some, impartial individual, because no one seemed to want to take it. Normally a compromise is that judge work out a compromise when they see that it will only take a compromise. But
Okay.
some things have to be done according to the letter of the law.
Right.
Now, I just said that to bring out some rabbinic insight, because I know some Israelites that might follow certain rabbinic ruling and stuff like that. And, I'm not talking about the ones that are straight up, Jewish, but the ones that's, Hebrew Israelites go to different congregations that follow somewhat rabbinic law.
Right.
All right. But one of the things is that Yethro looking at is that even by rabbinic law, if you giving them a compromise, then why? So now I'm gonna share another partially insight they can read into. It's not given in the book, but that's something to consider. All right, and that's why I'll try to speak after the Sidra come out. Is that when Egyptian bodies washed upon the shore and visualized, that means you possibly have swords, jewelry, armor.
Mm.
So what you do with that? They spoiled Egypt, but they still had some stuff.
Right.
They still had commodities that worthwhile.
Right.
All right. We didn't leave out. Look, the books say, some books say, kumashim, which is some kind of translated as lances, and sometimes they say hosts.
Right.
Order. Though we left out orderly.
Mm.
We didn't leave out looking like a already prepared army.
Mm. Okay.
So now, what would be a dispute possibly could come up that early when you just made an exodus? You
Right.
just came from the Yam Suf. You just had been delivered from the Egyptians. You just had a bit of water made sweet, water coming from a rock, manna was given you. You had a victory for the Amalek. So what disputes now at this point in time?
Should be elated.
So now some venture, and this is speculation. I don't know. I mean, but this is if I'm speaking on it because it has some merit. Is that you have, and Moshe used the term between Ish and then Re'ehu, which is his neighbor, a man and his neighbor. Why not just say man and man? That would make more sense.
Mm.
But it say a man and his neighbor. Then who is our neighbor? And who is a man?
Mm.
We left Egypt not only with Israelites, we left Egypt with a mixed multitude.
Right.
And we had some Egyptians that entered the Yam Suf and came out with us.
Right.
So yeah, Egyptian blood and whatever else blood left out of Egypt went into the midst of the water and came out with us. That's why we read about a mixed multitude. A lot of us think about Israelites crossing the Yam Suf, but don't think about the mixed multitude also coming across coming through the Yam Suf in the midst of the water and coming out of the Yam Suf.
Right.
And so now the dispute could be, that's a speculation. Who get the jewelry now? Who get the armor now?
Mm.
Who get the shields now?
Mm.
Who get the all the clothing now? Simply because if Israel spoiled the Egyptians and took what they had already, and there's still stuff on the seashore now, then the neighbor would be the mixed multitude saying, we are a descendant of these Egyptians, so therefore we are heir to the property that washed on the shore.
Mm.
And
That's
Israelites,
interesting.
That's I brought up points about judging.
Right.
But then we don't know, exactly all the cases there because this
Right.
is for the giving of the Torah. So I'm just venturing this out
Right.
and giving food for thought because if they wash up on the shore, and when we slave people in battle, we take what we take.
Right. Spoils of war.
Right. And that would be because we couldn't dispute over property at this stage.
Right.
Because we had none.
We had none. Right.
All right. We couldn't dispute over trade because we wasn't trading.
Right.
So now the only dispute we could possibly be remotely, and that's why I ventured this train of thought, is over the spoils that the Egyptians washed upon the sea had between the Israelite man and his neighbor, which would be the mixed multitude.
Right.
And we just humans of these people, so therefore that whatever they have belonged to us.
Right.
You took what you supposed to take and took what you meant to take. So that was one level, but just give a food and thought. What could be a judging all day long? What could and I brought that out to say what could be the major matter that you're judging and dealing with at this point in time when we don't have any property other than what we brought with us.
Right.
We ain't trading with each other because we got what we need.
Right.
The Creator provides all our needs while we're out there.
Absolutely.
So now we have an own check. What would be the dispute? That it had to be a godly matter brought in. So I just brought that out because a lot of times we just think about faith. The guy only knows 10 cents. So while Yethro stood all day long from morning to evening, Moshe sat and judged people, and he told them it's not good, and he told them what to do. Gave him some advice. Told him what kind of men to choose.
Right.
And and he said also take it to your Creator. And he said that way you won't wear you or your people out. Now Moses could have said, if he wasn't humble, he said, did the Creator ever talk to you? You just discovering about this God.
Right.
How great it was.
Right.
And what was so great that Yethro had seen was not so much the destruction of the Egyptians, but the deliverance of a people. And that was more important.
Right.
Because no one ever had a Creator that delivered them and no kind of religion. Whereas Yethro recognized that the Creator delivered them and not them themselves.
Right.
And so that's one of the great things coming from Yethro. And he just offered up a sacrifice. The elders respected him and went and ate the sacrifice. Even Aharon. All right. And Moshe, of course, it was Moshe's father-in-law.
Right.
So they can't say, well, he's a heathen.
Right.
So they didn't say that. He's idol worshiper.
Right.
But he just made a testimony. So some rabbinic leaders try to say one of the first converts and stuff like that. But I'm not heading in that direction now. I'm just because there was no process. And since I spoke on the converts, if people might be listening, that might be from pretty much rabbinic background, Jewish background, whatever the case, I'm Hebrew Israelite. That's where I grew up at.
Hallelujah.
But the conversion process is taken from Exodus. First thing is a process called Kipat Dam, which is circumcision, giving up blood. He's circumcised and the blood spilled. Next one is an immersion. Then the next step is affirmation.
Now you speaking in terms of when you say a submersion, you speaking in terms of Israelite immersion. I mean immersion. My bad. You're speaking in terms of what?
Now, I'm speaking in terms if a person gets their date
Mm.
through rabbinic law or something. A lot
Oh,
of times,
okay. Okay, I know.
I,
I
I,
get what you're saying.
I, if a person don't go by that, and it's okay, because it's just something that people do.
Right.
At least know, what they do,
Right.
and say, well, that's not necessary for me,
Right.
right? But so
Absolutely.
now with the Exodus, the circumcision, they went into the midst of the Yam Suf, and then you rabbinic literature, they say, go ahead and go in the water. Then he came out, make an affirmation, what I mean, and everything like that. Only thing they're waiting for later on is the sacrifice.
Right.
And they didn't sacrifice, the people as a whole didn't sacrifice yet. Yethro did, before
Right.
they did.
Right.
Today, since you can't offer a sacrifice, just say that's going to be done rabbinically when the time of Moshiach. But I figured I'd just bring that out to let people know, when you talk to other people.
Right.
And
Right.
some people might come with a rabbinic approach on what happens and what this relates to.
Right.
You could see where they take it from.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I get
Right.
it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And the third part is what?
The last one is sacrifice, which
Sacrifice.
they hold because they can't do a sacrifice today.
Right.
But the children of Israel, after the affirmation, they make a sacrifice.
Right.
To the Creator. And that's the complete 3-step process. All right. So and so now so Moses, as we go further, all right. Moses, let me keep going down here just a little bit, because like I said, let me just highlight some things, and if you have any questions, well, good. If not, I thank you for tolerating me. But when it referred to over there about the questions about let me move from evening mornings going down to 26 verse and 18. Let me see what I got here. All right. So one, they talk about the judges, well, as a matter of fact, I need to go up a little bit more from there. All right, 22nd verse, 18th chapter. It said, after you talk about the numbers, you start off with, judge, thousands, then he said hundreds, and then it's 50s, and then it's 10s. Normally you start from the bottom and work your way up, but you start from the top and work your way down.
Right.
So and just something to ponder. I'm not going to focus on that part right now, but the 20 after he gave up the qualities of these men,
right,
and if you look carefully, those that read the qualities that he gave out and what Moshe was able to bring was slightly different. And it said, and let them judge the people at all seasons. 22nd verse 18. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge themselves, so that they shall make it easy for thee and bear the burden with thee. And it says, and it goes on further and says, and if thou shalt do this thing, and
right,
God commands thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. And all this people also shall go to their place in peace. So they reach their spot, and they go to their place in peace, wherever they are. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. And Moses could choose out able men, and out of Israel and stuff like that. But then I'm going to skip that to the 26th verse. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moshe. For every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land. All right, now, the 26th verse is very important. And it said, they judge the people all season. I mean, it's justice and should be available all the time.
right,
court should never be out.
Right.
Yeah. Vacation like we have in America with Congress. I
Is
said the
this is
hard court.
this is this where the court system gets their different levels of courts? You
Well,
know.
I'm getting ready to hit right there.
Okay, no
Right
problem.
there.
My bad.
Right. And I said, in the hard courses, they brought to Moses. For every small matter, they judge themselves. The difference is that, and I had to bring this out because sometimes it occurs a lot in Scripture, but sometimes we don't pay attention. He listened to the voice of his father-in-law, not exactly to the words. And listen to the voice, the anxiety and the desperation. But sometimes you can listen to the desperation of an individual, and he makes sense, but everything he say is not the way he should be directed. So Jethro say the big cases, the
Right.
hakadol, the big matters, and hakatol, the small matters. Moshe
Right.
say hak Moshe, the difficult matters, and hakatol, the small matters. So that small matters in the sense of not difficult. Now, why that makes such a difference in the wording? As opposed to the hakadol, the great matters, as opposed to hak Moshe, the difficult matters. Because amongst Israel and amongst the godly people, we don't have what we call, the term they use now is, uh, small claims court. That's what I'm looking for. Small claims court.
Right.
All right. We don't have a small claims court, and we have a civil court. Of course, it's a lot of money involved, and you're only talking about a few $1,000 here, where we talk about close to millions over here. So we don't have it. We don't have that kind of judicial system in
Right.
Israel. So that's what Moses pointing out. He said, "No, I'm not going. I'm gonna treat every matter, whether it's 10 cents or $1,000, as an individual case. So that means that I'm not going to go by precedence of the case that happened before with two other people. We had this case come before us. So now, since this case came before us last week or 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago, it's the exact same amount of money, exact same situation, but it's two different people, two
Right.
different time periods. So that's why I say we should not rest judgment in our Lord later on. That means that you go ahead and deal with the case that's before you, like if you never heard another case like that before.
Mm.
And that's the difference. Well, most court systems in America, they use other cases as precedent. It was done over here for this individual, so it should be done for me because my case is similar to this individual. And that's not the way things are supposed to be worked out amongst Israelites. Israelites, you look at the case like it's a first-time offense, first-time case, never happened before in life, and you deal with the individual and deal with it from there.
Right.
So that's why Moses say it's difficult, because now if the judges that are appointed can't handle this issue, then I will handle the issue because they see some things that they can't handle and can't render a decision on. So then I will handle that because of difficulty, not because of the amount of money and stuff involved,
Right.
because it's a very sensitive case,
Right.
and that's what makes it difficult.
Right.
All right. So one so sometimes we got to realize because something big, you know, don't thoughts, numbers or size don't merit judging it in a more elaborate fashion. So that's what Moshe brought out, which is an important thing for all judges. I myself is part of the Israelite rabbinic and elder councils in the justice system. So when people come, I try to my best to deal with something as an individual case disregard what I did before and look at this case as a fresh case. I'm learning about it right now and then. And that's my preference right there for what Moshe said, what is difficult. Now, why, another question comes up is, why would Moshe, when he realized that I'm dealing with a difficult case, why he didn't delegate people before?
Right.
Because it's not hard to realize that you would need some help. It's not hard to realize that, there's certain issues, there.
Right.
That could be, that other people can handle.
Right.
Not necessarily,
Right.
you. Well, he's the only one that spoke to the Creator face to face so far. So not being uppity,
Right.
but being the Creator spoke with him mouth to mouth, he felt that it was a need for me to give this thing to them, mouth to mouth, like I get it from the Creator.
Right.
And not necessarily trusting it to individuals to bring it out.
Right.
So he felt that it was his responsibility, not so much his nobility, to be able to do that.
Right.
But he seen, but he also said bring it to the Creator as well. Now, also, what is so great about that is that when Yethro brought this thing to Moshe, he also, in this particular chapter, before we read about the other commandments that come in the particular Sidra, he created and helped establish a law. The same man, Yethro.
Right.
From his voice, because now he helped create a judicial system for the nation of Israel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And some questions asked, well, why didn't the Creator tell Moses from the beginning? Why did he have to wait for Yethro to get there? It would show that, and why did Moshe, he was a smart individual, why didn't he think of this himself? Or why didn't the elders think of it themselves? And some of the answers that's raised, and one of the things I like to present as I came up and was taught, is that we wasn't the smartest people in the world.
Right.
We wasn't the greatest people in the world. We was the least amongst all people. But there's other people out there that God hasn't chosen as his people that has intellect, spirit, and have our good will and mind.
Right.
And it's for us not to say because we're God's chosen people that we can't listen to a person that say a Muslim or a Christian or something else, from whatever background they are, because they might have an insight that supersedes that of ours. And most of us today work around people like that.
Right.
So when we so now we're gonna move into the pretty much the next part about the 19th chapter, so in the third month.
Right.
When we children of Israel going forth out the land of Egypt and the Sinai, and then we look on, and I like to focus on a particular verse here because this brings out a lot of controversy and food for thought. But we're going to go to the third verse of the 19th chapter.
Right.
And it says, make sure I write you because I scribble notes. The verse is it. All right. And Moses went up unto God, the Creator, and the Lord called unto him out in the mountain, saying, Thus thou shalt say to the house of Israel, of the Yaakov, and tell the children of Israel. Now, it could have been said, just tell the house of Yaakov.
Right.
But rabbinic traditions say the households of women. The house of Jacob is Yaakov.
Right.
And Bnei Israel, it means sons, literally, to be the children of Israel.
Right.
But, I'm the way I was taught coming up, I can accept partially their view, in that sense.
Right.
But one of the things, and I'll get back to why I say partially in that sense. All right, but one of the things is people could be part of your household, are not part of your lineage.
Absolutely.
You know, and Yaakov Abraham, our father,
Right.
said, before he had any sons, said, all I have is this, as an heir of my household, is Eliezer of
Eliezer
Damascus.
Damascus, right.
So, and he said of his household, not of his loin.
Right.
And he would potentially be his heir, born in his household.
Right.
So, you know, and the reason so I'd rather use that premise for my next thing I'm coming up with, as opposed to just the women, and that's it. And as we go further,
right.
Okay, 19. Let me get this verse right quick. I'm still going down.
No problem.
Going down to all right, 19:10. 19:10. All right, 19:10. And it says, and the Lord said to Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments, and be ready against the third day. For the third day, the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. All right, now that's what he says in that verse, right?
Right.
Now, let's go skip down to the 13th verse. All right. No, that is, yeah, 14th verse. Let's get down to the 14th verse. But we just read that verse, and some people might need to mark it and might want to go over it again because it's going to be a very controversial issue. It's a very sensitive issue as well. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people. And they washed their garments. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day, come not near a woman. Now, that was the end of the 15th verse, come not near a woman.
Right.
Now, we just read what the Creator had told Moshe. But now, we read what Moshe told the people.
Right.
And what could be problematic is why he said, do not come near women.
Okay.
You know, when God, the Creator, said, sanctify the people, are not women Israelites too? Are not women children of Israel?
Absolutely.
So the first thing was jump off and it was being sexist. So, before even the sexist thing,
right,
it seems like it's just strictly male alone.
Right.
Could be sanctified.
Right.
And only male alone that the Creator would talk to.
Right.
And that's not what the Creator said. And that's not the first,
instance of that, of something sound like that, right?
Well, when Enoch Hawa told the serpent that we're not supposed to eat of the tree or touch it. Now, most people would say, hey, she must have learned it from Adam. The Creator told Adam. And Adam must have ad-libbed. I don't know. I know she was more convincing than he was. That I know. But we don't know. We didn't know that Adam told her anything like that. Now, in rabbinic literature, they got things called a siyag, which is offense.
Right.
Right. You got a prohibition that's instituted to keep from breaking a real law prohibition, right. A real strong, stringent prohibition.
Right.
All right, and some people, satisfied with that, but in all earnest, you would say, well, why would Moshe add to something that the Creator didn't say? And we read exactly what he said.
Right.
And we told what to do.
Right.
And he said, the people, everybody down at Mount Sinai.
Right.
Everybody there.
Right.
So now, what are you saying? Is the women the problem? You saying women is the ones that are going to cause men to sin? Women's the ones that are going to be the ones that keep you from serving the Creator? That's what you're saying? That the men themselves, got to keep it away from their wives because they have no self-control.
Good point.
And the women's going to mess them up. Because they didn't say women keep away from your men.
Right.
They said men keep away from
right.
the women.
Right.
And that raises a lot of problems in, communities and through the book. Because, these things is written there, so they can't say it's not there.
It's not there, right.
It's how they explain and how they interpret it.
Right.
All right. And sometimes it's best to just bring forth what the Creator said without ad-libbing, without putting an extra margin of defense on it, because when you add to something that's perfect, it becomes imperfect.
Imperfect, right.
And great as Moshe was. And we know that he didn't forget what the Creator told him, but he took upon himself.
Right.
We got the case later on when he struck the rock 40 years later and said, "Must we give you drink?" We got that, and drink, ye rebels.
Right.
And you got a case later on, and 40 years later, I set before you, a blessing and curse, life and death. You choose life.
You choose. Right.
He didn't say the Creator said, he said, I said.
Right.
In the book of Deuteronomy.
Right.
So now we as teachers and people that's looking for the truth and knowing God is the Creator that we serve is a righteous King. Then we got to say, okay, where is Moses coming from with this? And why would he add that? And why would he single out like the women's is going to be problems in that area? And a lot of times when we bring our own, additive to it, it creates problems. Because all of us supposed to learn. Everyone.
Right.
And not only that was problematic in this in the book, but other people, and then what you tell your daughter, you're not good enough for the Creator to work with you. Even in some prayers, blessed be the Lord God, King of the universe, who had not made me a woman, in most prayer books.
Wow.
And then the woman say, blessed be the Lord God, King of the universe, who had made me according to his will. But ain't everyone is made according to the Creator's will.
Absolutely.
But those are things that exist at the prayer book, and we have laws later on if a man or a woman become a Nazarite. So that means the sanctity of holy could be for both. It's both.
Right.
It's not just male and just female.
Right.
Now, if it's come to an area of priests, that's one thing.
Right.
Come to an area of what you're supposed to work around and do with the Mishkan or the Beit HaMikdash, the tabernacle or the temple, that's something that's strictly designated by the Creator and enumerated how it should be done.
Right.
All right. So I just wanted to bring that out in that area there because, sometimes we have a lot of things where even people say, well, the Bible is written by man. And, someone had to write it. All right. We know that the only things that's written by the Creator is 10 words on tablets.
Right.
And they're supposed to be transmitted all these years.
Right.
Now, I'd like to go even a little further in this area here. Let's skip this a little bit more. Let me speed this up a bit. All right. And it talk about let's go down to the 16th verse. Let's skip something. Yeah, let's go down to the 16th verse. That's the same chapter. And it says, and it came past on the third day. It was morning. That there was thunder and lightning and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of a horn exceedingly loud. And all the people that were in the camp trembled. So they were shook up. There was a big scene going on. So when we look further down, it says, When we got down to that part, and it said, and the Lord said to Moses, the 21st verse, go down, judge people that they let they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. All right, and let the priests also that come near to the Lord sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. Now, when they say the Kohanim, all right, we know they haven't chosen a particular house yet at this particular time.
Right.
All right. And one of the things is that we know we haven't chosen a particular house at this particular time. That a tradition is that the firstborn male is usually carried on to the priesthood and act as the priest of the household. All right. All right. But one of the great things is that Moshe was down on the same level with everybody else when we get ready to go into the 20th chapter of the Decalogue. And I'm going to be somewhat brief in that.
Right.
All right. And the 20th chapter, and it starts off saying, and Elohim speak all these words saying, I am, and then when it says, I am, the Lord thy God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Right.
Now, most people always wonder why you start off with that.
Right.
As an address. And then when we talk about, now, when we get into the 20th chapter, starting around the second verse, all people look at it, and most people refer to them as the Ten Commandments. And some people say, well, all of them is not a command.
Right.
And then you could tell the difference between how a Christian enumerates the first command and how, those of Israelites or Hebrew background, or let's say Jewish, whatever, in that area, enumerate the first command.
Right.
And it starts with Anoki, and when it starts with Anoki, and you look at I am, and then you talk about, maybe when we say Anoki Yehovah Elohecha, right?
Right.
So now when we look at that like that, we say, well, is that a command? And I tell you, I am. Is that a command? I did something. Is that a command? Well, I am. I always tell people, and this I taught it. I mean, people could disagree, which I'm used to having a lot of people disagreeing.
Right.
But when you use the first person pronoun, singular, especially from an individual that is great and is magnanimous and supreme intelligence in the universe, it is a declarative that you must acknowledge. So you need to acknowledge that I am exists. And not only you must acknowledge that I exist, but recognize what I did for you. And always the question is, because we know the Creator created heavens and earth, and he could have said, I'm the one that created heavens and earth.
Right.
Well, I wasn't there. I experienced that. I just heard about that.
Right.
But what I experienced with the people that I put in Mount Sinai at that time, they experienced the rescue from Egypt. They experienced that. And they gave a testimony in the last Sidra, Bishla. They believe in the Creator and in his servant Moshe. So now, when he says that I am, not only you owe me, but you must acknowledge that I'm your God. All right. And then next one, thou shalt have another God before me. So now some people think, did you create other gods?
Right.
No, I'm not saying it's the existence of other gods. It's almost like Yethro in the same Sidra said, now I know, that God is the God of all gods.
Right.
He ain't saying there's other gods that exist in comparison with what they did, because when we left Egypt, before we crossed the Yam Suf, we was at Baal Zebon, one of the deities of Egypt. And part of the exodus was to destroy all the deities of Egypt.
Right.
And the last one left standing is Baal Zebon. So when we look at that, we find out that there's no other. We know that there's no other deity exists. Period.
Right.
But people
absolutely
make up a deity.
Okay.
And the creator make especially make it known that there's no other deity exists. Now let's go through this quickly. One of the things I spoke on earlier about Moshe adding. All right. But before I get to that, I'm just going to point out just two other commands. All right. The fourth commandment, remember the Shabbat to keep it holy.
Right.
All right. So that means that we don't sanctify Shabbat, but we can defile the sanctity of a Shabbat. Because the Shabbat comes holy already.
Right.
And defiling the sanctity of Shabbat, we defile ourselves. Now, I overlook on purpose about, that in 1910 when they talk about, we being the Creator's peculiar treasure. Overlook that purposely in the sense because, the Creator always said we keep these laws, statutes, and judgment, and we'll be a peculiar people, which is the word segula, which is a peculiar treasure unto himself.
Right.
All right, a treasure, but it's a treasure that not because of monetary value, but because of intrinsic value of the relationship to the individual. So, and then we will be a kingdom of priests. Everybody can't be a priest, but a kingdom of priests meaning in the sense that everyone that's following the Creator. And within our group of following the Creator, within the laws that we follow the Creator in, that we have our priests there, everybody going to look at us as a priestly nation.
Right.
So because everybody, some people think, hey, everybody can be a priest. Anybody can be a priest. No, that's one area where we don't have a female priestess.
Right.
All right. So the next one I like to just bring out is about honoring the father and the mother.
Right.
And one of the things is that most people honor it, and when I find problems that most athletes thank their moms, they don't really thank their father.
Right.
And rarely this is the thing the Creator.
Right.
And it's more so, black athletes do that. Now, I understand in this country it's a penal institution, and most times the father's not around the household.
Right.
But if it wasn't for the father, you wouldn't be there. Part of our offerings when we talk about the first fruits, and remember our father was a wandering Aramean.
Right.
All right. So now he said, a wandering Aramean. Why I got to remember that? I'm the one bringing the fruits.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for my father in existence and what God did for him when he was out there destitute,
right.
I would not be here.
I would not be here.
So,
well, most of the songs is made for the mother anyway. Like, you barely hear about songs dedicated to their father. I think Luther Vandross had a song dedicated to his father, but that was
and that's what's important about honoring the father and mother. Because most people honor their mother, but it's hard to honor their father.
Right.
And most people, and later on, when Moses 40 years later, change the order. And fear your mother. Every man should feel his mother and his father.
Right.
And why? Because most men don't fear their mother, but they fear the father.
Right.
So
and you have to fear them equally.
Yeah, and honor them, in that
equally.
respect.
Right.
Yes. All right. So, and then the last one I want to go through is thou shalt not covet.
right.
And in that area. All right. So, when we get down to the last one, we get to the verse and read it just like it's read. What the fuck? Okay. the 14th verse. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything against thy neighbors. Now, the 10th, when we enumerate the 10th command, which is a unique one in itself, because most times when you do something wrong, you physically did something wrong.
Right.
Now it's telling you to control your thinking,
right,
your thoughts.
Right.
And it holds you responsible for your thoughts.
For your thoughts.
So you say, well, do I bring a sin offering for my thoughts, or do I bring a sin offering for what I did? Because my thoughts would come, but I put it under control.
Right.
I said, this ain't right.
Right.
I shouldn't be thinking like that. And I straighten up.
Now, I have a question about coveting.
All right. Well, before we get that, one more point on brain.
All right.
You notice it says, and this is segue to what I was going to get back to when Moses ad-lib.
Right.
It says, covet thy neighbor's house, nor thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, nor his wife. And so the house is property. Right. What is the wife? What is the wife? And why they say wife instead of just say, thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor's?
Right. They specify the wife.
Yes, exactly. So is it saying women is on a lower scale, or and that, or women are property, one and the same. And it's being property, is that derogatory or not? Then it was a possession. It was presented to Adam as a helpmeet. So those are the areas of the ponder and think, because when Moses made women seem like women would not be holy, but women are just as precious as to a man at his house and his home and himself. The last thing I'd like to read is from the Psalms, about following commandments, stuff like that. And it's from the 103rd Psalm, 103rd Psalm. And I leave with this question, then I'm open for questions. 103rd Psalm on let me see. Okay. Okay. All right, from the 10th verse. I'm reading from the 10th verse and go to the 12th verse. 2 verses. Right. 103rd Psalm. It says, He hath not dealt with us after our sins, nor requited us according to our iniquities. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy towards them that fear him. Mm-hmm. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us. So now, one of the questions to ask, and if the creator use an analogy, we could have a concept of how far the heavens is up from the earth. Right. But how far is east from west when it comes to transgressions? And I'm gonna share the answer, what I learned, in my college days, of course, because one of the professors was bringing that out one day, in one of my Judaic courses, right, in the early 70s. And everybody said how far it is. It depends on the distance. What kind of distance you talk about? It could be across the street. It could be, across the yard. Right. It could be around the world. Right. So how far is the east from the west? Right. And the first said, when God talked about your sins, as far as the east from the west, you could forgive you for them. As far as the east from the west, that means all you gotta do is turn around. And your face is wet. And that always stuck with me. That when you talk about teshuvah and repentance, when you break a law, right? When you and when you sin and you want to make a turn around and get closer to the Creator, right? And hopefully that because you're ever merciful, right? And hopefully the mercy don't run out on you. Right. Is that all you got to do is turn around and you're facing the right direction, and that's what. Shul means to return. Teshuvah is the one that turned around and give an answer for what he did. Right. That's that. So now I'm open for any questions.
Question.
I appreciate it.
Question. In terms of coveting, right? It mentions all of these, your the property, your house, the wife, anything that is our neighbors. Do children fall under that category? Because technically, don't you covet someone's daughter before you ask for her? You desire her. Isn't coveting a part of desiring
I
something
well,
that's not yours? So if you desire someone's daughter, is that coveting her? And maybe that's why that wasn't mentioned. It's just a
what?
question to
No,
put out
no,
there.
no. That's a good question, and a very valid question, and I'm gonna answer it in this fashion. That when it's about covet, it's something that you never ever can have
Obtain.
legally.
Okay.
Legally,
Right. That
and that's
makes
where the
sense.
forbidden at. So you start to think about something that you know you can't have legally,
Right.
because we should desire to get close to the Creator.
Mm.
And we covered, so our desire to be able to, to be close to the Creator and being near the Creator, that should be all our desire, all our wants.
Right.
All right, and that's something that we can legally attain.
Right. So I'm waiting
So,
to see if anybody has any questions.
if not, I got away easy.
Yeah, because and also when we get to the 10 words, um you see like in the Catholic Church they eliminate the part about graven images um to conform to what they do and having graven images and things of that nature. Um
Well,
is 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 Zipporah, I know in some circles they say that Zipporah was the Ethiopian woman. What do you think about that?
and and somebody asked me that just yesterday when I was talking,
Okay.
and we was talking, and the poor, I now, and I explained to him, the brother, this way, that Midian, Yethro being, a priest of Midian, they don't clearly say in the introduction of his life that he's a descendant of Midian, out the people of Midian.
Right.
It don't clearly say. I accept that because later on in history, his people came forward and they referred to him sometimes as Kenites, out the stock of Midian,
Mm.
and the descendants of Abraham, but and more from a rabbinic tradition, but we don't see it clear in there, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, but I accept that he's a Midianite and Zipporah was a Midianite. Now, what we have is, and I explained to the brother that what we have, according to the writings of Josephus and other sources, that Moshe, before he even had the exodus out of Egypt himself, as a fugitive, that he battled, in Egypt and Ethiopia to have issues over borders,
Right.
and he wound up being one of the generals that was able to conquer this particular king in Ethiopia.
Right.
Going through this area where it had a bunch of snakes, and you got this particular bird that's, one of the that preys on those particular snakes, and they was able to take this route through there, through some area, and capture the kingdom, and without destroying it. And the king, Jose, gave him his daughter to marry. Now,
Okay.
that's different from Zipporah, that Flavus Josephus bring out. But but as far as having another wife, whatever the case is, they make it clear that she's an Ethiopian woman, and for all intents and purposes, we think of Yethro, a Midianite, and the descendant of Abraham, which is through Keturah, as opposed to being a Cushite, being
Mm.
from Ham's lineage. So we figure it's supposed to be Shemitic as opposed to being Hamitic.
Okay. Somebody put here, I think it's referring to something that you said earlier. It says Shalom, Eliezer of Damascus is not named in Genesis 24, but
I didn't say it was.
Esau.
I didn't say. I said that who people call. And when I spoke earlier about the term Baruch Yehovah, Baruch Hashem,
Right.
and I said it's the first time it was used.
Right.
And I said it was used by a nameless servant,
Okay.
Abraham, that went to get a wife for Yitzchak.
Okay.
And I said rabbinic literatures call him Eliezer of Damascus. But I said I focus on nameless servant because his name is not given there.
Right.
And he's first to use the term, Baruch Yehovah. And then Yethro used the second.
Right. All right.
I hope I answered that question.
No, that's good. Somebody's trying to call me on the line that I'm with you, but it's the same brother who posted up the question. He's gonna have to call me on the other number, the 347-622-9090. 347. Let me put it up here. 347 622-9090.
Yeah, because I was careful to make sure, and
right.
That I didn't use that name.
Okay.
Yeah, and 24, 27. That's what he's talking about, and that's what I refer to.
Okay. So, all right. Doesn't seem like anyone else has any questions. So at this moment, I will say thank you, Crown Prince, for the time and the dedication that you put forward to doing this weekly. I appreciate it. And hopefully the people are getting, I know that the people are getting something out of this, and this is a blessing.
Okay, well, I appreciate being able to share. And like I said, any mistakes only been my own. And, I'm not letter perfect, but, it wasn't intended to be misleading. And any questions, you could write into T-Boo's at
Right.
He'll get to me
right.
on and support CTV programs.
And this is also for the people who tune in later and listen to the show. You could leave questions on the actual stream, and I'll have Prince Crown Prince look at them and then have an answer ready for you. If you have questions about anything of Torah on any of these videos, you could leave them, and you could direct them to Crown Prince Zurishaddai, Yehudah, and I'll send him the link so he could see it and have an answer for you. That's what the elders are in the midst of us. Right.
I endeavor to have a proper answer. Not to say, well, right. You got me on that one. I'll have an answer for that.
Somebody asked, did Yethro also go by another name?
Well, definitely in Tanakh for several names, but rabbinic literature says 7 names. That's rabbinic literature. I know, and I try to avoid going by something I can't see it first in the written Tanakh.
Right.
And so a lot of times I just say, well, rabbinic literature or commentaries have this view on it, right. But what we see in the Tanakh is what's given in the Tanakh. Right. And some things is not always clear that's given in the Tanakh.
Okay. Great. So once again, Crown Prince, Toda Rabah. May the Most High God bless you, and I'll be speaking to you.
If you had to move up from Wednesday, just move it up one day.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, because I'll be ready, since it's always after the normal Sidra.
Right.
I'll be a day ahead if I prefer Wednesday in the middle of the week. Though.
That sounds good. All right then. Toda.
Okay. All right, sure.
There you have it. Thank you once again for tuning in. For everybody in the room, if you would like to help us out, you can hit the Cash App button at the Super Chat button at the bottom to help with donations, or you could look in the descriptions. You could donate through PayPal and Cash App. If you would like to help me out, my Cash App is I'll assign 40. That's for everyone out there that would like to help out in what we do. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to the stream. And shalom, shalom to my people Yisrael. See you, Yah willing, tomorrow. Hallelujah.